All right.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Launch Codes Football. My name is Chris,
And I'm Chelsea. What's up?
and we are on episode 19 of the podcast.
Yeah.
Let's go. We're almost to 20. Next week, we'll have episode 20. A
That's
whole,
crazy. Can you believe we've done this for 20 episodes almost?
it's kind of wild. Feels like we didn't
That's
start but
insane.
a short time ago, but now we're going on almost 20 episodes. So thank you to everyone who's been listening to the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Tell all your friends.
Yeah, definitely. But Chelsea, how have you been?
Hey, I'm doing good. I had work today, came home. Now I'm recording this podcast. It was a good day. Had a pretty good salad for lunch. So I'd say that was one of the highlights of my day.
All right. Hey, a good salad. I mean, I'm not a salad person, but I feel like a good one, you know what? It can hit decently, even for me, a person who doesn't like them that much. So
On occasion, a salad just hits different,
fair. All
like
right.
any
Well,
food.
well, today we've got a couple headlines. Not too many things happening around the league right now, but two pretty big ones, honestly. So, Chelsea, let's start with you. We've got Aaron Rodgers. So, what you got for us?
Ron. First of all, can we take a moment to acknowledge that people have been calling Aaron Rodgers A Rod, which is just wrong because A Rod is a baseball thing, not a football thing. So whenever I hear A Rod, I'm like, why are they talking about baseball? And then I realize, oh, they're talking about Aaron Rodgers trying to be hip and cool. Stop. The nickname's already taken. Okay. That's all I have to say about that. So yesterday, well, I guess when this comes out, it won't be yesterday. It'll be Monday. Aaron Rodgers broke the ice and did an interview on ESPN. Uh, had a very long and convoluted and confusing quote that he had that honestly said a lot of nothing and a lot of everything. It was one of those kind of, convoluted sayings. Um, but he was not at the start of OTAs in Green Bay at Lambeau on Monday. So obviously, when that news broke, the whole league was like, Aaron Rodgers is leaving. And then, Aaron Rodgers got on ESPN and actually addressed it for himself because I'm sure he is sick and tired of seeing the talking heads on TV talk and talk and talk and talk about it and not really get anywhere. So basically, in his quote, he said, that he likes Jordan Love. He said, with my situation, look, it's never been about the draft picking Jordan. I love Jordan. He's a great kid, a lot of fun to work together. Now, I know for me, I had heard a lot of talk, on ESPN and news channels and, sports apps and stuff that, Aaron Rodgers is not one to really mentor anyone. Brett Favre took Aaron Rodgers under his wing, and kind of the assumption of Aaron Rodgers with some of the attitudes he's shown as in the past is that like he is not the kind of guy that would look at a rookie and go, oh yeah, I'm gonna take care of you. Just didn't really strike people as the kind of person to do that. But I mean, this quote kind of points that in a different direction, if you ask me. It seems to point that he likes Jordan Love. He likes him as a person, as a player, that they're friends, which, I love that. I love that, they are friends and that they are cool, at least based on this quote. I mean, secretly, they may not be, but, I can't speak into that because I don't know. But he's not angry at Jordan Love. He is also not angry at the coaching staff. So Matt LaFleur doesn't really seem to have a problem with him. Is not angry at his teammates, which also I found that kind of surprising considering that I'm pretty sure it was one of his teammates that leaked those texts when he was calling his GM names. I'm pretty sure it was a teammate who leaked those. May not have been, but the assumption is that it was a teammate. So if he is so cool with his teammates, maybe he wanted it to get out. I don't know. And he's not angry at the fan base. I mean, if you know anything about Green Bay, you know that they have some of the best fans in all of the NFL. I mean, when that 2-foot snowstorm hits, you will always find a packed Lambeau field, regardless of if it is
Mm-hmm.
90 degrees or negative 90 degrees. That's just the
That's right.
loyalty that's present there. So I was kind of phrasing it this way earlier. It seems that Aaron Rodgers is not mad at Jordan Love, the person, more at Jordan Love, the draft pick, right? Because, I mean, if you're Aaron Rodgers, you're thinking, oh, yeah, they're not going to pick a quarterback here. They're going to take, a wide receiver or a tight end or, something, an O lineman, something for me to work with because, the positional depth that he had been, mediocre at best. But no, they go and take Jordan Love. And he was like, what are you talking about? We're taking a quarterback? This is news to me. So, with that being said, with it seeming like he's more mad at Jordan Love, the draft pick, than the player, that obviously points back to the front office, right? When he was listing off all of the people that he is not angry at, he notably left out the front office. So, one can assume that he's angry at the front office, which would make sense considering he called his GM, Brian, I don't know how to say his last name. It's like Guntcoast or something. He was calling him names and it got leaked onto national TV, like I was talking about earlier. So he's pretty obviously mad at the front office, which I feel like pretty much everyone knew that. But I think it was news that he seems to be cool with Jordan Love. Like, I am glad that he's cool with Love. But I mean, if he leaves, which I don't know. I don't really foresee Aaron Rodgers leaving. Not gonna lie. I mean, I could see it happening. I'd be surprised if he was somewhere else. I mean, he's been with Green Bay for 16 years. Sure, he wants to retire there. He's comfortable there, knows the system, players, coaches, whatever. But I mean, they're gonna have to do something drastic to keep him, right? Whether it be trading for someone or firing, their GM or whatever it may be. Like, they're gonna have to do something big to keep Aaron Rodgers. That's just what it's going to come down to, unless they trade him, it looks like. But if he leaves, where does he go? I mean, some of the predicted destinations got the Broncos, Panthers, Saints, Raiders, Eagles, Dolphins. And I mean, theoretically, he could fit in well at any of those places, but I don't know. That would be so crazy if he ended up going somewhere else. That would be like when everyone was freaking out about Deshaun Watson, him like not wanting to be there and the news breaking and everyone being like, where's he going to go? And then, the whole trial and everything happened. So that kind of got put on the back burner. But I don't know, Chris. I mean, could you foresee Aaron Rodgers truly leaving Green Bay? And if you could, I mean, where do you think he goes?
I think I could see it. I mean, I'm not saying that the Packers want that, but also this isn't the first time they've made a hard decision when it's come to a Hall of Fame quarterback. Look at what they had to do with Brett Favre and how a lot of people hated that decision, but it's what they ended up going with. They ended up going with Rodgers, and now they're in a semi-similar situation again. I don't think they'll want to trade him. I mean, I don't know what they want to do, to be honest. The front office confuses me because on one hand they go and like they want to win a championship now, but also when they drafted Jordan Love first round, who may be a great quarterback one day, that first round pick was essentially saying that they could have taken a receiver. Every Green Bay fan, you talk to any of them and they'll say we needed a receiver then, and even though Devontae Adams is fantastic, then he needs another guy. He needs more help on the receiving core. Aaron Rodgers can make anybody look good, don't get me wrong, but I really think maybe they take a receiver on that first round. They're using a guy more. Whereas right now, they're not using Jordan Love at all. They've spent a first round pick on a guy they haven't used in 2 years. So
Yeah.
it's just
I
kind
mean,
of confusing.
it makes sense. I mean, we know for sure that Matt LaFleur does not want him gone. I mean, Matt LaFleur's come out and been like, don't leave. Like, we need you. And, everyone is, if they hadn't realized already, everyone is coming to the distinct revelation that this team is nothing without Aaron Rodgers. Like, we all have known that for as long as he's been there, but now that the possibility of him leaving might actually happen, if Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay, they are going to be terrible. Like, they're not going to be the worst team in the league, but it would surprise me if they made it to the playoffs. Not that I think Jordan Love is bad, not that I think he can't, lead a team, but he's not Aaron Rodgers. And I mean, Aaron Rodgers talked about in his quote that I was reading earlier from his interview about how they drafted Jordan Love and then Aaron Rodgers goes out, has an MVP caliber season. That throws a wrench in things, right? You think Aaron Rodgers is declining. You go, okay, instead of drafting him help, we're going to draft his replacement, right? So you go, you draft his replacement with the assumption that he's going to get worse. And then he comes out and wins MVP. It's like, oh, this is awkward.
Yeah, I think. I think he had a little bit of a fire under his belt to go win that MVP and to go play out of his mind, and he did last year. And so, I think that Rodgers, I don't know where he'll end up in a few years. I could see him on another team potentially. I could see Green Bay saying, "All right, it's time to move on." And I don't necessarily agree with it at this point in time, but I could see him being like, "Hey, I want to go somewhere else."
For
And I think
sure.
there are teams that are willing to give up a lot to go get him too.
Oh, I agree. I mean, the dude is pretty obviously worth, a good haul back. He just won the MVP. I mean, yeah, he's kind of old, but he just won the MVP. So that kind of counterbalances his age. You know what I mean? But I mean, even of those teams that I predicted or that are the general prediction for places that Rodgers could go, I mean, you look at the Panthers front office has pretty much staked their claim on Sam Darnold, right? I mean, they picked up his 5th year option. They're essentially giving the team to him. I'd be very surprised if Aaron Rodgers went there. I mean, it seems like their whole front office and coaching staff is completely dedicated to Sam Darnold. I mean, you look at the Raiders, they have Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota. Like, yeah, they could, send Rodgers there and get Carr back in a deal, but I mean, they're not in dire need of a good starting quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, they're fine. They're not in the best position possible, but it's not like, they're running some third string backup. I mean, even looking at the Eagles have Jalen Hurts. I mean, if you're going to stick by Jalen Hurts, there's really no need to go get Rodgers. And you can say the same thing for the Dolphins. I mean, if you're going to stick by Tua, like, there's really no need to go get Aaron Rodgers if you believe those guys are your guy. So I mean, really that only leaves two options. The Saints, who are currently have a quarterback battle between Mr. Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill and Ian Book. That is their quarterback depth, which going from Drew Brees to that is really, really sad. I am sorry, Saints fans. And then you got the Broncos, who have Drew Lock, who, not that long ago, people were like, he's an MVP candidate. And then he was just terrible during the season. So, I mean, it seems like the Broncos are the most realistic place for Rodgers to go. But even if he did go there, I'd still be surprised. I don't know. I couldn't fathom him not being a Packer. And if he wasn't a Packer, that would just be so weird. It was like how Tom Brady left the Patriots and went to Tampa Bay. It was like, Tom Brady is not a Patriot anymore. He's not in the AFC East anymore. Like, what is happening? Like, that was crazy. Obviously, we're all adjusted now. So, we'd all get used to it if Aaron Rodgers ended up in Denver. But I don't know. It just feels wrong. You know what I mean?
If he goes to my team, it doesn't feel wrong. But I know
Touche.
what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying. I think it'll be
Touche.
interesting, and we'll see what the Packers will do with him. I think he wants to be there. I just don't know if the Packers front office is fully committed to him at the moment, and
It
that's kind
seems,
of
I don't
weird.
know, it always seemed like to me that the front office was very committed to him and that Aaron Rodgers was like, I don't know how I feel. I may or may not come back. We'll see what mood I'm in. But I guess we'll see. I don't know. I feel like they're going to work it out because that would just be like so much effort for Aaron Rodgers to leave. He'd have to go somewhere else, move somewhere else, learn another system, go to another city. I mean, he'd still be dealing with snow, so, that wouldn't change. But I don't know. I guess it's just a matter of time at this point.
Give it time, and we'll see what happens. Next, we got Julio Jones. So I kind of wanted to talk about this because to me, this was pretty funny the way it was done. If for those of you who may not know, Julio Jones was reported to potentially be going to the Cowboys because apparently he had some Cowboys gear on, or someone got a photo of
In
him
the
having
airport.
some on. Well, Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless were debating on Undisputed on Fox Sports. And Skip Bayless, I think, he's a huge Cowboys fan, very controversial. And he said that, or I think he was arguing that Julio Jones could go to the Cowboys. And Shannon Sharp said he ended the debate there. He called Julio Jones on Julio's cell phone. Julio answered. And then Shannon said, "Are you going to the Cowboys?" He said, "Are you staying in Atlanta and going to the Cowboys?" And to the Atlanta question, he said, "I'm out of there." He made that very clear. And then to the Dallas question, he said, or Shannon Sharp said, "If you want to win, you know you don't go to the Cowboys, right?" Because Julio said he wanted to win. And Julio said, "I ain't even thought about going there." And so he said he is not going to the Cowboys. He said, I already know that when it comes to winning in the Cowboys." And he said then later on, he hasn't even thought about going there. So that debunked those theories hard.
Hey, it could all be a smokescreen, Chris. What if it's just all some crazy conspiracy theory that's going on? I mean, he could be lying. I mean, what if he really does go there? I mean, of all of the places that don't need Julio Jones is the Cowboys. So I don't know why he would go there and why they would go like trade a first round pick for him when they have no need for him. But it's also the Cowboys. Like, I could see Jerry Jones doing that, you know? That just seems like a Jerry Jones thing to do.
Maybe, but I just think this whole situation was funny. I am a little bit, and I think the internet is a little bit concerned on whether or not Julio was aware he was on the air, because Shannon Sharp, when he was on the phone with him, didn't say he was on air until after Julio already said that he wasn't going to the Cowboys and he's out of Atlanta. Now,
I
here's what I
haven't
will
seen
say.
the segment live, so I would have to see Shannon's face. I didn't see it live. I just saw the headline.
Here's what I'll say. What happened was, after Shannon told him that he was on air, that he did say, though, he's like, "Yeah, I wasn't planning on going to the Cowboys," or something like that. He didn't sound, it's really odd. He didn't sound super like, "Oh, I'm retracting my statement now because I'm on the air." He just kind of sounded normal. Now, it was just a voice call, so we don't really know. But
Imagine if he had pulled him up on FaceTime, face the camera, like, hey, by the way, you're on national TV.
There's some thought, though, that they didn't apparently mention it on this morning, Tuesday morning, because this happened Monday morning. We're going on Tuesday right now. For today's Undisputed show, there was no mention of the conversation. And there's some thought that there were some off-air conversations with Shannon about some things about, hey, you can't do that because they can get in legal trouble, because I think something to do in California with the fact that both parties have to consent to be on air or something like that.
That certainly would create a problem, now wouldn't it?
So Fox Sports, I mean, it got them a lot of talk right now. I mean,
It did. The views went out the roof, but if the views are what get you in legal trouble, that's not necessarily the best thing.
I mean, it's one of the most odd things I've ever seen on sports television, but
which is saying something because Stephen A is on TV every day.
And so overall, though, what we did get out of this, though, is Julio wants out of Atlanta. Atlanta already knew that. The coach said he's still keeping conversations with his players private. The Julio's agent apparently told the media that he wasn't aware he was on air. I don't know exactly what's up with that, but overall, this was a weird conversation. But we do know now he doesn't want to go to the Cowboys. If he's lying, then, well, okay. But
I will say the one other thing we learned from this terribly awkward and unscripted segment was that Julio Jones and Shannon are tight.
yeah,
He straight up asked him if he was going to leave. He was like, yeah, like no hesitation. He was like straight up like, yes, I'm out of there. Like, shout out to Shannon Sharp and Julio Jones for being bros.
No, Shannon Sharp said, "You think me and Julio don't talk?" After he hung up and started arguing, because Skip Bayless still tried to argue with him on that. I'm like, dude, he just told you, yeah, he's not going to your team. Like it's over. And Skip's like, well, now he has to do it because you said. I'm like, dude, you're just stop it.
You're
But
digging your own grave at this point.
I think that with this whole thing, yeah, because Shannon Sharp was saying, you know, your favorite uncle, or something like that. They're just tight. So overall, though, what we've got is kind of a story now. Atlanta apparently wants a first round pick for Julio Jones. That's it. I imagine take the cap space too that he takes up, but a first round pick and cap space. That sounds like a lot. Some people are saying he's 33, I believe, and that he's not worth a first round pick.
I thought he was
Others
31. I'll
might be
consult the
31.
internet while you continue discussing.
He is in his 30s right now. And
Yes.
some people don't believe that he is worth what they're asking, which is just a first round pick.
He's 32.
32. Okay. I don't think it's a bad thing to take him depending on the team who it is that's taking him. There is some people want him to go to the Chiefs. I say if he goes there, all right, he does want to win, so props to him. But also, man, that team, the NFL's broken if he gets to go there. That's an insane lineup on offense if he went there. If there is some thought he could go to the Eagles, I know one of my friends, Chris, was talking about this, and he mentioned that the Eagles could take him. That's a fair place for him to go, I think. I do wonder, he says he wants to win. Is he willing to go to a team that's rebuilding and wasn't very good last year? I don't know. So this will be a really interesting offseason for him. I don't know. Will he end up a Falcon still, Chelsea? What do you think?
I think he's definitely, quote, out of there. Like, if there's anywhere he's not going to be, it's going to be Atlanta, which shout out to my coworker, Malik, Falcons fan, found out Julio didn't want to stay.
Rip.
And he was talking about changing his team allegiance, which do I blame him? The Falcons front office has consistently done terrible things. So, hey, I can't blame him. Not going to lie. So, sorry, bud, about Julio Jones. That is truly an unfortunate scenario. I did see a headline that apparently Julio Jones has wanted out since March, which is pretty crazy. Doesn't necessarily surprise me finding out he wants out now. Like, I'm sure, he wasn't just one day like, you know what? I want out of Atlanta. Obviously he had put some thought into it. But no, I definitely think he's not going back to Atlanta, which shout out to you fantasy players. If Julio does not go back to Atlanta, that means Calvin Ridley is their wide receiver number 1. Remember that for your fantasy drafts later this year. You're welcome. But yeah, a first round pick for Julio. I get it. He's Julio Jones. He's consistently been one of the best receivers in the league over the last 10 years. So, I can't blame them for wanting a first round pick. He's kind of old now and he isn't putting up the same stats now. I don't know if they will get a first round pick for him. I think that they could at minimum get a high second. Like, I think I'd give up a high second for Julio Jones. I think that there are going to be teams that will give up a first for Julio. I just don't know if all teams would. You know what I mean? I don't know if the Chiefs would look at that and go, "Oh yeah, we're going to trade our first round pick for Julio Jones, even though we have a stacked offense and need help on defense." But yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Like, I don't really foresee them doing that. Like, they don't need Julio Jones. But he's definitely not going back to Atlanta. There are a lot of predicted destinations for Julio. Some of those include the Patriots, the Browns, the Colts, woohoo, 49ers, Raiders, Titans. Apparently preferred. I saw some headline on Bleacher Report talking about top destinations apparently being the Patriots and the Titans, which you want to talk. I don't know why you'd want to go to the Titans. Like, they already have A.J. Brown, so he wouldn't even be the wide receiver 1 in Tennessee. Because, they got Corey Davis and they have A.J. Brown. So, what do you want to be, a wide receiver 3? Like, I already know Julio Jones doesn't want to be a wide receiver 3.
No,
like, that's
he
not
would be the
happening.
first. He would be number 1. if
Yeah.
he was
And then,
there.
I saw another headline from Bleacher Report. Apparently, AJ Brown put out some voice messages to Julio Jones and was like, bro, if you want to be wide receiver one, you go right ahead. Which, I mean, respect to AJ Brown for, acknowledging that Julio Jones is really good and that he is still a wide receiver one in this league. So good job, AJ. But I don't think he's going to go to the Cowboys. Even though he was wearing a Dallas Cowboys sweatshirt in the airport, I don't think he's going to go to the Cowboys. Um, I don't know. I have this icky feeling that I just think he's going to go to the Patriots, which is just really disgusting, because it's the Patriots and I don't want him to go there. And because it's Bill Belichick and, because it's the Patriots. But Sam's going to be listening to this and he's going to be like, my coworker, he's going to be like, Patriots are better than the Colts. And I'm going to be like, dude. But yeah, I think he's going to go to the Patriots. I mean, look at Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick has not spent this much money in free agency in how many years? I mean, the dude literally never does anything in free agency. He signs like one person. And then this year he goes out and signs like 8 of the biggest names in free agency. It's like, dude, you had one mediocre year and you just couldn't handle it. So you had to go spend all of your money. So you're not mediocre anymore. But to be fair, half their team opted out. So I'm sure they would have been better if, half their team would have been playing. But the dude goes out and spends his money. I mean, what's one draft pick for Julio Jones? What the heck? It couldn't hurt, right? So I think that's where he's going to go. I hope he doesn't, though. But I think he's going to go there, which, like I said, is just disappointing.
Right. I think it'll be a very interesting offseason for Julio. And yeah, the Patriots definitely could be the place he goes. I guess we'll see. But next, we've got our hot take of the week here. Let's see. We've got from Chelsea's
My
coworker,
coworker.
Sam.
Yep. Big Patriots fan.
All right. So what's the hot take for the week, Chelsea?
So for this week, we have Jared Goff will not be the starting quarterback for the Detroit Lions by week 7, not even making it halfway through the year. Poor Jared.
Dang. Well, that's that's pretty harsh. He's just calling him out the bat. Say week 7, he's done. He is no
Yep.
longer the starter.
So, I mean, looking at his justification, he says he has less talent around him than he had on the Rams, which generally speaking is 100% true. I mean, you went from having Aaron Donald to not having Aaron Donald. So, I mean, that's sad. You also had Cooper Kupp, who is extremely underrated. Robert Woods, Cam Akers, and are going to the Lions, who just shipped off their 2 best wide receivers. But they do have TJ Hawkinson. So they have that going for them. They have a worse run game in Detroit than they did in LA, which, I mean, LA had Cam Akers. Detroit had a bunch of people. I mean, when Cam Akers was on, he was on. He had injury issues, but if Cam Akers can stay healthy, I would definitely agree that, their running game is better. He has a worse line. He had Pro Bowlers in LA. He does not have any Pro Bowlers in Detroit, which should not surprise anyone because it's Detroit. So, worse line, that contributes to the fact that Jared Goff is not that mobile of a quarterback, right? So you have a bad line. You are facing the likes of Khalil Mack, one of the premier pass rushers in the league. And that creates another problem, right? He's not mobile away to get away because his line is bad. On top of that, the people that will be chasing him on defense will appear to be much better because his line is much worse. So, I mean, you have a really good line in LA with the Rams. You're playing really good defenses every week, but when you have a good line, they don't look as good. Like, they're still very talented, but, when you have solid competition going up against them, like, it kind of mitigates it a little. It doesn't completely erase it, but makes it not as bad. But when your line is bad, the defenses look better. And on top of that, you have Khalil Mack. Imagine Khalil Mack chasing down poor Jared Goff. That is just a sad sight. But he's going to face lots of inside pressure because of his O line. So he's probably going to get sacked a considerable amount more than he was sacked in LA. And he thinks that he will either be replaced by someone not on the team or by their backup, David Blau. Yikes. What do you think, Chris?
I think it's a pretty harsh take, but I understand why people don't think Jared Goff will be very good for the Lions. I do kind of get that sentiment, but by week 7, that's pretty quick. I don't know if they'll just ditch him automatically for the backup by week 7 when we have an extended season this year. And by that point, you're not out of it. Yeah. You're not out of it yet. Week 7 is still, it's kind of at the end of the adjusting period. You can still be adjusting by week 7, in my opinion. It took, I think, the Tampa Bay a couple weeks to really get things together, and it wasn't really till the end of the season where they were really good. So I would say for Jared Goff, I don't know if he'll be benched by week 7. He'd have to play pretty awful, and if he's playing that poorly, then he'll be benched even sooner. But also, I could see maybe they'll make an off-season signing for some backup or something like that, maybe. But I do kind of get the sentiment that, yeah, he has a much worse line. Last year they were pretty bad. I know they've worked on upgrading it this year, so it could get better. But I think
they did get Sewell.
But I think that it definitely isn't all going to come together that fast, probably. And yeah, he doesn't have the defensive prowess players that he had on LA. So I don't know. I guess this is kind of a make or break. I will say the run game, I don't know about that because DeAndre Swift was pretty good. So I don't think that's really that big of a downgrade, to be honest. So I just think that you could see it. Jared Goff, he could play pretty bad for the Lions, but honestly, I expect him to be like average to maybe like above average. That's kind
I
of
have
my
a
expectations
solution
for
to
him.
this problem.
What's that?
You're the Lions GM. You go, okay, how do we fix this problem if, Mr. Jared Goff sucks? Ring, ring. You know who picks up? The Packers. They go, hey, do we have a story for you? Would you like Jordan Love? Yes, we would. Boom. Aaron Rodgers is appeased. The Lions have a young, talented starting quarterback, and Jared Goff is somewhere on the sideline sad. So, I mean, it could happen, theoretically.
That would be certainly a turn of events in Green Bay. And honestly, I want to see it now just to see it happen.
How do you appease Aaron Rodgers? You trade his too highly drafted predecessor away to a poverty franchise to make up for angering him.
That's right.
It could work. I'm just saying.
The thought of them trading to a division rival, though, doesn't make sense to me.
But it's the Lions, though. Like, have the Lions really ever given the Packers any kind of fight ever? Like, I can't ever recall this being a thing. I don't know about you. I mean, they had Calvin Johnson. Really, really good. They had Matthew Stafford. Really talented. But, like, I mean, if I'm going to pick Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford, I'm going to pick Aaron Rodgers. Like, that's just what it comes down to.
Yeah. All right. Well,
it could happen. Not that I think it'll actually happen, but I mean, you want something crazy to talk about. I mean, you not only appease Aaron Rodgers, get rid of the problem that created your problem, and the Lions have a backup if, Jared Goff just ends up not being that good. I mean, they could trade Jared Goff to the Saints. Boom. Saints have a starter. I should be a GM.
If you were a GM, I would be wildly interested to see the trades and the moves that you make, honestly.
If I was a GM, that would be something. I don't know if it'd be good or bad. It would just be something.
Look, I mean, hey, we'll make our cases to be GMs one day. We'll both be the same Actually, no. I'm sorry. If we were both
Can't
GMs,
both be one GM on one team.
no, like, co-GMs or something. But I just thought about that.
Oh,
Honestly, the way
dude,
our
bro,
opinions go,
no.
I'm sorry, we would have such different like opinions on who to sign and what to
Yeah.
do that it would never work. Never mind.
Yeah, Chris would be like, okay, Chelsea, how do you feel about this guy in the first round? And I'd be like, he sucks. Don't take him. And then Chris would take him because he'd have hope in him. And then I'd be angry about it. So maybe let's not do that.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, thanks for submitting your hot take, Sam. Really appreciate it. And I think that's all we got for this week. So, Chelsea, do you want to do our outro?
Yeah, for sure. So thanks for listening, guys. Tune back in next Wednesday for more content. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter at _LC football _, Instagram at Launch Codes Football, and on Facebook and YouTube at Launch Codes Football. I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Chris.
And check me out GMing a team soon. No, just kidding.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.